Let's get educated. That's why we're here, to bring you the stories impacting K-12 classrooms and college campuses. It's time for a little education.
Why, hello everyone. I am Katie Petrick, joined by, that guy, David Fiorazzo.
Yes.
How are you doing today?
Good morning. Good afternoon. Good evening. Hi. Good. I need a little less caffeine,
someone
maybe.
Put a quarter in him. He's
Decaf pumpkin spice
ready
latte.
to roll.
Decaf.
Oh yes, 'tis the season. We haven't even talked about it. Pumpkin spice is upon
Not
us.
yet, but it's coming.
Depending on where you are, it's here. It's here. All right. Well, in the name of equity, we have an Oregon school district that will now require teachers to accept late work without any penalty. Because why? And they need to also refrain from giving the big old zero, even if and when the kids are caught cheating. Because, in the name of equity, David. It's all in the name of equity.
I know. Some of you are going, what is that, equity? We're so tired of these words, right? But because they're using them and abusing them and redefining them. But the headline is the school district's new equitable grading practices won't penalize late work or issue zeros even for cheating. What's not surprising, Katie, about this story is it's in Portland.
Oh, Portland, Oregon. Oh,
yeah.
okay,
So
it's
the school district there, and equitable grading practices will require teachers, to let kids skate on some things. But anyway, this is according to documents obtained by the Washington Free Beacon, and a new district handed out Portland Public Schools Equitable Grading Practices Summary. What did you say about long words or titles?
The longer they are, the less they say. Right, colon.
So PPSEGPS is the
there we go.
In short. I'm tired after just saying that.
Yes.
So they're highlighting the district's rationale for implementing a so-called equitable approach to grading students, their class performance. So there's the handout, and the Institute of Educational Science. Shouldn't science be in sciences in this context? Shouldn't that be in air quotes? Actually, education.
They missed it.
Yeah,
they need editing.
They missed the air quotes.
It wasn't
quotes.
equitable.
So yeah, Katie, the fine print, the rationale, historical data shows that there are racial disparities in our pass-fail rate in multiple subjects in both middle grades and high school. During the pandemic, we adjusted our grading to accommodate for some of the inequities in access to curriculum and instruction. This caused many teachers to begin the journey towards equitable grading, but has led to a mosaic of grading practices across schools and across the district that is confusing to students and families. We need to organize and consolidate our efforts towards common policies to more consistently and better support students and families with equitable grading.
Oh, wow.
Sounds like a big push.
Yes. So instead of, hey, you don't turn your homework in on time, you get a zero. That's not fair. That's not equitable. Instead, what is equitable is you can turn it in this day, you can turn it in that day, you can turn it in whatever day you want, because that's not confusing. Now, according to them, here's what they're going to be doing. They want you to not issue zeros. You must provide a minimum grade greater than or equal to 50%. Do we know what that means? Greater than or equal to? Have the kids even learned what that means?
Wait a minute. So am I understanding this right, that you cannot issue a grade that's under 50%?
So no matter what, you're giving that kid a 50%, even if it doesn't meet expectations. If it's incomplete, or hey, you don't even have it. If it's missing, you still give that kid at least 50%. You will use a 0 to 4 scale because, according to them, a 0 to 4 equal interval scale is more mathematically accurate than a 0 to 100 scale. Is it, though?
Boy, they're using some words that don't make sense. Mathematically accurate. 0 to 4 is... Anyway, go ahead.
Mathematically inaccurate. Yeah, if it is math, it should be accurate. You're being a little redundant. All right, now weight more recent performance. They say to not average assessment scores across an entire semester. Instead, provide more weight to more recent performance. So you're saying if they were doing great and then they fall off the face of the earth, I should weight the falling off the face of the earth more? That's what that is saying. And also, hey, by the way, no group grades, which, I mean, I guess this one actually is, yeah. Do not include group level grades into individual grades. Student grades should reflect individual achievement. Now, I get that last one a little bit because there was a time period where everyone got in Barney circles and everything was a group grade.
Yeah.
And as someone who was that, you know me, you knew I was that student who, if it was a group project, I took the lead and I made sure we had a great project. But there were times when the Davids of the world, just kidding. David, you were probably a great student too. But the other kids in the group maybe didn't pull their weight and I had to pull them along and they still got a good grade. But hey, sharing is caring.
So can you explain how this guideline also applies to students caught cheating?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's
What is...
It doesn't matter. I'm sure there was a great reason you cheated, Basically,
So it doesn't...
What they have found, the whole racial disparities, and across maybe the Portland district, but you can apply it to pretty much all school districts across the nation, especially in urban areas, the likelihood of cheating, of not turning work in, falls in different... There's racial disparity there. And so... instead of addressing individuals and saying, stop cheating, turn your work in, and working with each individual student in your own personal classroom, they're just making a blanket statement to everybody now doesn't matter. You all get 50% no matter what happens. And you're not allowed to rely on, you're only to use summative assessments instead of formative. So basically the difference there is summative assessments are at the end of a unit or end of a, you would take your test. That would be a summative for that chapter or whatever you did. Formative would be the little checks along the way to make sure you're getting it right. So don't grade any of that stuff. Only do the summative, which is kind of counterproductive to what you should be doing.
It almost sounds self-defeating.
But that means don't give out homework. Because that formative would be a homework stuff. But they don't want that because they found that kids don't do the homework, so just don't assign it.
They're not going to grade homework.
So don't grade the homework. Don't turn it in.
If an assignment comes in late, no worries. How late? So again, remember we were talking about boundaries this week?
It's boundaries week.
Boundaries, yeah. So
back to school boundaries.
Maybe I'll do this in a few weeks when I have
and then they won't do it.
Vacation. So yeah, they're going to apply this in the district, and that's going to go into effect in 2025. At least it is
guidelines but they're kind of sort of doing
district-wide.
it.
Yeah, but and then it's going to be in other cities too.
Just one more note about this because I know people talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
Those little homeworks that you do along the way, yes, they should be meaningful. The kids should get something out of it. But those are opportunities for kids who maybe don't do well. And, we talk about the generation of kids who can't take tests and anxiety and all this. Do your homework along the way. So if you do mess up on that test, you got your homework grades to kind of help you out. Now they're saying, nah, don't count it, whatever, it doesn't matter. Just do the summative.
Yeah.
Let
them eat cake and let them do a little bit of homework. All right, still to come, America's largest teachers union is boldly coaching teachers how to inject gender identity politics into classroom discussions. Of course, they've been doing this for decades. They're now focused on injecting it further. Nobody seems eager to stop them. That's next.
Okay. Well, I always get the stories with Randy in them. You know who I'm talking about? If you've been around here for a while, you know I'm talking about Randy Weingarten, the one, thankfully only, Randy Weingarten, who is the president of the American Federation of Teachers, which is nation's largest teachers union, She also has her, I don't know, it's not her co-chair because the other president of the other organization, Becky Pringle, I always like her name too, Becky Pringle, like the chip. She's the president of the National Education Association, the NEA. Now,
can I just say these are two of the most dangerous women in America? Can I say that? You can agree or disagree.
We can cancel you,
it is
but you can say it.
It is my opinion. These are two of the most dangerous women in America. Go ahead, Katie.
All right, back to me. Thank you. So what we're talking about is how we've just found out that on the AFT side, so Randy's side, they've been, just coaching along their teachers, getting that gender identity and all that stuff into the curriculum. Just a teachers union doing what a teachers union does. Things they really shouldn't be. But hey,
well,
they're here for your children. Actually, they're supposed to be for the teachers, but they're here to indoctrinate your children.
Yep.
So we are just learning now that the AFT has coached the teachers on how to expose students to gender identity in the curriculum. The Defense of Freedom Institute just released a report claiming that the AFT coached its members on how to inject the identity politics into classroom teaching. And the report actually describes the union's Together Educating America's Children. Teach. See, AFT, teach.
Well, they are
Look at that.
teaching, but what we talk about is content. What are they teaching children today?
Yeah, so this was back in July. Every year they have their annual convention, and usually whoever's the Democrat president in office goes and talks about it.
Another summer of woke.
Another summer of woke. Another hot summer of woke. Now, according to the 2 sessions at the conference that they had, there's 2 sessions. One was called Affirming LGBTQIA plus identities in and out of the classroom. And then the other one is the TGNCNB, which is transgender, gender nonconforming, non-binary, inclusive school and classroom.
You're kidding me.
Hold on, my mouth is still full of garbledy-gook.
Yeah,
That was a whole lot to say. Well, that's where they learned all about how to do this, all right? So basically, teachers having a woke summer, come and learn how to make their classrooms woke this fall. Now, the report states that both session descriptions offered attendees ideas and action items to take back to their schools. The union's mission is clear. Train teachers to affirm every gender identity that conflicts with a student's sex, ignore basic biological facts, hide the training from parents, and shape school policies to force others to do the same. Yes, Defense of Freedom Institute, you are absolutely correct.
That's really good. That's worded very well.
That's because they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And they are actually defending our freedom. So, the National Education Association, as I mentioned before, our friend Becky Pringle, also pushes this same type of stuff. They are the two, as you indicated, that they're the 2 most dangerous women.
Yeah.
And these are the 2 largest teachers unions. They only represent about 5 million public school teachers across the country.
Wow.
Danger.
Yeah, dangerous. Demonic is another word, another D word you could use.
This is true.
Yeah.
Now, we did know just before they held their July conference that AFT also adopted an LGBT resolution that promotes age-appropriate and inclusive policies. So what's going to happen is when they are pushing all the gender nonsense onto the youngest of children, they're going to be like, whoa, we have a policy here, and it says that we will promote age-appropriate and inclusive policies. So they're trying to cover their back ends when they're pushing things that really aren't age-appropriate.
Yeah,
we have a policy, though.
Well,
who
determines? Who determines what is age-appropriate? They're determining, and they say it's okay for 4-year-olds, right? Well, in the old days, maybe when I was growing up, you didn't hear some of this stuff until you were 12.
Back then.
Or 13,
back
right?
Then.
Way back when I was growing up. Stop it. But seriously, this is what's been changing. What they consider, quote, family friendly, and in this case, quote, age appropriate. Whenever you hear those words, when it comes from Hollywood, the government, social media, the one tech big media conglomerate, or the public school system, when you hear age appropriate, you know that it is not traditionally appropriate in the original definition of the word, what is appropriate, and what is moral, what young children should be hearing. And I really feel bad for some of these kids and what they're subjected to. And parents, please. I mean, most of you probably don't have kids in the public schools. Get this information out to people that do have their kids in the public schools, because these are some things that, again, they are pushing the envelope with no boundaries, Katie.
Yeah, basically what you just mentioned, that conglomerate, they are the Goliaths. And the rest of us are just little Davids out here. So we need to keep fighting, because 74% of voters say they think schools should have to obtain parental consent about talking with gender identity and stuff. So because
good point,
Goliath controls everything,
yep,
little David here, we need to fight back. Get your slingshots ready. Let's go. All right. Well, we have a Georgia elementary teacher who was fired after reading a book on gender identity to students without getting the school's permission. But we just found, I tell you, we're going to introduce you to the book and tell you how everything went down. Stay with us.
Today's show is sponsored by our friends at MyPillow. Save up to 66% on pristine quality bedding, towels, slippers, signature pillows, and much more when you use the code EDUCATED. That's EDUCATED. Educated. Support this show and a great American company.
Okay, well, as always, more nonsense with gender.
What state are we in now?
Another day that ends in Y. Well, we are in the state of Georgia this time, though. It's interesting. Georgia gender. Here we go. We have a Georgia school board who's actually listening to the parents on the gender nonsense. Well, again, here's Georgia, so they should be. But it's the Cobb County School District, so they actually took action, and they fired a 5th grade teacher who read to her students the book called My Shadow is Purple. Look at that. My Shadow
Okay, what's
is
wrong with the
Purple.
book?
It's a picture book about a kid who discovers that they are neither a girl or a boy.
Oh.
Yeah, let's take a look at it.
Suddenly discovered?
Yep.
Teacher Katie Rinderly embracing supporters after the Cobb County School Board voted to fire her. Rinderly declined to comment on camera. Her attorney, Craig Goodmark.
So she's disappointed that it went this way.
Katie Rinderly, a teacher for 10 years, had fought for her job before the tribunal that last week heard the charges against her. The tribunal concluded that Rinderly showed lack of judgment when she read My Shadow is Purple to her 5th grade math class this past March, and then taught her students about themes in the book about gender identity and gender fluidity. The tribunal called that controversial and said that Rinderly should have known and should have received approval first from the principal and from parents. But the tribunal recommended that Rinderly not be fired, as Superintendent Chris Ragsdale wanted.
That motion carries.
The school board fired her anyway by a vote of 4-3. The 3 who voted to keep Rinderly: Becky Saylor, Leroy Trey Hutchins, and Nichelle Davis. Rinderly's attorney says teachers statewide are receiving little guidance about what is legal under the state's new law against teaching divisive concepts unless parents consent.
It's impossible for a teacher to know what's in the minds of parents when she starts her lesson, and for parents to be able, with a political agenda from outside the classroom, to come in and have a teacher fired is simply unfair.
It's impossible for a teacher to know what parents might think is best for their children and what they should be. That is nuts. That guy's an attorney? Oh my goodness.
Of course he is.
How many cases has he lost based on a lack of common sense? No, that's just not true. Plus, Katie, we heard when we were watching this thing, 5th grade math class.
What?
What are you reading a book?
Unless we're measuring the angles of the shadow from behind you. It's geometry class. See, there we go. That's why.
Right.
Why was it? Why?
5th
grade math class?
I'm sorry, but when he said that, it's impossible. What a weak argument. Katie, it's just impossible to know what you would want your kids to be taught. It's impossible for a teacher to know.
Yes. Well, what's interesting too is like it was a 2-day hearing, and you said like the tribunal, like you see how in Georgia this is how they do it. You know, every state's a little different.
The Democrats that voted for her lost.
Yeah, like
and
but they had a tribunal, and the way they went about it, I'm like, okay, here we. If only our actual justice system could, maybe be as efficient and succinct as they were. But the fact that the ones who voted to fire her are a panel of retired teachers. It's not just politicians there. They were actually in the classroom. There's something to be said about people who've been in the classroom, teachers saying, hey, yeah, you didn't do what you should have in the classroom. You were not using good judgment there. And we find that you should not be in the classroom with the kids.
So 2 things that are concerning. The vote was just 4-3. Meaning it could have swung that other way if one person would have changed their vote along with the Democrats. It would have been 4-3 the other way. In this case, it was 3-4 for the losers. But the other thing is, and this is, they're talking about gender fluidity. Katie, if I'm mistaken, if I'm not mistaken, fluidity is It's always changing. It's fluid. It can be one thing one day, one thing maybe in a couple of years or next week.
Yeah.
So it's fluid. Gender is fluid. It's not, there's no norm. There's no, in other words, God is not the creator. Science and biology, forget it. DNA, and screw that. What we're talking about is just, this is based on feeling, based on how you want to determine.
Yeah,
your
so
gender.
really she should have had this lesson during science class when you talk about solids and liquids and gas and the fluidity
Fluids,
of it
yeah.
all.
Wow. And so they're arguing for this, guys. Understand, this is in Georgia, one district I know, but it was a one vote. It could have swung either way. And the other thing is, fifth grade?
Fifth grade.
And of course, the other takeaway, which is really odd, that she's reading this in math class. You don't think more teachers are trying to indoctrinate their kids when this shouldn't even be discussed at all, period, at all. But if it is brought up, maybe in sex education, whatever they call it nowadays. Health, maybe bring it up when they're much, much older. So we're pushing a lot of envelopes here.
Here's what I like from Sherry Culvis, the district's lawyer. Okay, we only got to hear there from the teacher's lawyer, who is like a slick Rick, he looked like. But the teacher, or the actual school district's lawyer, said that the Cobb County School District is very serious about the classroom being a neutral place for students to learn. One-sided instruction on political, religious, or social beliefs does not belong in our classrooms. At least they're trying to make it neutral and not be pushing the gender fluidity that is out there.
Wow.
All right, well, still to come. The largest video streaming service in the world is doing a little summer cleaning. Forever. It's summer and forever cleaning. It may have a few movie enthusiasts a little excited. I know a producer who really loves his movies. We're going to tell you what Netflix is doing with all of their DVDs when we return.
If you have a smartphone, tablet, Roku, or Apple TV, consider downloading the FreedomProject Media app. It's 100% free and includes all of our weekly shows, plus lecture series, archive programs, and award-winning animated videos for families like the Presidential Minute, Battles of America, and Heroes of the West. Don't rely on the social media giants to keep you informed. Simply download the Freedom Project Media app from your app store and allow notifications. And we'll let you know when a new video is ready.
There's a better way to rent movies. As many as you want for just $20 a month and no late fees. Go to Netflix.com, make a list of the movies you want to see, and in about one business day, you'll get 3 DVDs. Keep them as long as you want, without late fees. Then when you're done, look, prepaid envelopes. Return one, and they'll send you another movie from your list. It's easy.
Netflix. All the movies you want, $20 a month, and no late fees.
Not anymore. So yeah, that was the first commercial, the very first commercial, from what I understand. So Netflix is just giving away their DVDs now, and this is interesting because they are treating the end of the DVD era like a birthday party or a funeral, depending on your point of view. The company announced in April that it would send its last DVD by mail September 29. And that's just over 25 years after it sent out the very first DVD. Fun fact, Katie Petrick, the very first red Netflix envelope had a DVD in it. Can you guess? You already read the article, though.
I forgot what it was, though.
It was Beetlejuice.
Tim
Burton's
No way.
That was the very first Netflix order and
like
DVD that was
Beetlejuice.
mailed out. What was it, 25? 25? Yeah. 25.
Okay, it's sad to say, but I think I remember that commercial that they just showed. I'm like, I feel like I've seen, and 25 years ago, I was around, and I would have been probably
You were
watching.
here 25 years ago?
Thank you. Yes, I was.
You must have been really young.
Oh, stop.
So this week, Netflix said that DVD.com subscribers can keep all the discs they had rented just before the company went out of business. So they say we're not charging for any unreturned discs after September 29.
Well, and they're going to send you 10 extra discs, too. Surprise shipment of up to 10 extra discs. will show up in your mailbox.
I didn't see that one.
Yeah, the site shuts down. So basically, this is like
maybe I can sign up real quick to get those 10 DVDs.
This is the mentality of all the people who have ever checked out library books. Like, oh, I have so many late fees, but I'm just gonna wait that someday they're just gonna be like, nah, you don't need to send it back. This is what's happening with
funny.
DVD.com, which was Netflix, or is now Netflix's. Well, for a little bit, the actual like real DVD site. It used to be, Netflix. There was this whole thing back in the day. You can go read about it. The whole like hoopla of what happened with like the streaming versus the DVD hard copies. Tech nerds like our producer will explain it to you in full. But they're shutting down. We're going digital, which Netflix already is, but now they're not going to have the hard copies.
Well, here's an interesting debate, not a debate, conversation between Netflix founder Reed Hastings and Netflix co-CEO Ted Sarandos. So apparently Hastings back then was concerned about postage rates, that they were going to keep on going up and up, and that the internet was going to get twice as fast at half the price every 18 months. So they were having these conversations, but it says the fact of the matter is that Netflix had been planning to abandon the DVDs since the 20th century, and then Ted Sarandos, who's the co-CEO, recalled how Hastings told him in 1999 that he planned to take the business completely online as soon as the economics worked out.
Yes,
so
yes,
it's fascinating that over 20 years ago they were planning to do
25 almost.
what
Yes,
they're doing.
Considering they are worth $125 billion.
Billion with a B?
With a
Yikes.
billion.
What? 11,000 employees.
Yep.
Billion with a B.
Billion with a B, 11,000. So I think they could have afforded those rates going up. But hey, this is why they are in business and I am not. But let me know. Have you gotten Netflix DVDs? Did you, anyone out there in the world?
Me.
Not you?
I don't think I've ever gotten a DVD. Well, maybe I have. But it was private.
Did you get like a beta tape from somewhere instead?
No. Beta?
We're going back.
Well, I still got my VHSs.
Okay.
VCR.
You can date. You know what? If you want to know the age of someone, ask them like, what was the first way you watched a movie? The old reels.
Or you can ask them how many 8-track
silent movies
how many 8-track tapes do you still have at home? Cassette tapes?
Heck yeah.
There's some in our audience that still don't know what cassette tapes
They don't
are.
know cassettes. They don't know. Back in my day. Anyway. Just a quick reminder here for all of you, because we're digital right now. All of you, quick reminder.
Subscribe
to an app
for
more
free.
Digital stuff. So you can catch Educated on the go by subscribing to the podcast on your favorite platform. You don't need a cassette, Don't forget to download the Freedom Project app. Click yes for notifications, and then we will let you know when a new episode is ready. We won't have to deliver it by mail. Hard copy. We get you digitally. Out there in digital world. All right. Well, for David and myself, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And thank you for supporting this show. Until next time, stay educated.